A major WWE return was actually rejected, so we'll see what that's about. We'll also see what Triple H had to say, some Bloodline updates, and more. Let's start things off with the big rejected return from the IIconics. Billie Kay and Peyton Royce had a solid run in NXT and the main roster together. Their Smackdown debut in 2018 was pretty memorable as well. They made their first roster appearance by exchanging words with Charlotte Flair and taking Charlotte out to set up Carmella's cash-in. So just talk about making an impact right away. That's exactly what they did. They even won the women's tag team titles on the grand stage of WrestleMania 35. So as you can tell, their first few years on the main roster was trending upwards non-stop. But it was during the Thunderdome era where the team was split up without any good reason, and they both went their separate ways. Peyton still looked like she was on the come up on her own, even pinning Billie during Survivor Series. But that never ended up going anywhere. And then Billie Kay had a little interesting story arc going on as well, where she was actively trying to get someone to hire her, and she would join tag teams on a short-term basis, trying to fit in with the team. But both Peyton and Billie would unfortunately end up getting released in the middle of 2021. And now during a recent edition of their podcast, the former IIconics revealed that WWE personally reached out to them about the both of them making an appearance at the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble match, but they turned it down. Apparently the spots in the Royal Rumble match wasn't fully guaranteed, plus they felt like their releases were still too fresh at the time. It had only been a few months since their WWE releases, so that shock was still there, and they couldn't bring themselves to go back in there to WWE so soon for a one-night return that wasn't even guaranteed. So that's why they rejected it. But just like we've seen over the history of WWE, you can never say never for when it comes to any return happening down the line. So hopefully we do get another chance of seeing the IIconics in the future. Sami Zayn recently opened up about some words that Triple H shared with him from earlier in the year. This all went down at WWE Backlash with the main event of Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn. Despite being in Sami's hometown and having that momentum behind him, no one really gave Sami a shot of dethroning Roman and changing the WrestleMania 39 main event to Sami versus Cody. No one expected that to happen, but it was still a fun ride, and Backlash was obviously the big finale to the nearly 1 year long storyline between Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. So even though no one gave Sami a real shot, it was still a surreal experience due to what led us to that point. But during the post-press conference for that event, Sami Zayn appeared to be zoned out and a bit negative. Well, Sami Zayn recently revealed that Triple H did come up to him shortly after that and told him he was being a downer and really messing up the vibes of the big night at Backlash. Sami Zayn had this to say about what Triple H said to him, quote, "Hunter talked to me a day or two later and he was like, dude, what was going on with you in that press conference? You were such a downer. Like, you got to think of what those people saw. Those people just saw the accumulation of this amazing story for the last year. And they saw one of the most electric crowds ever. And the whole night was amazing. And you're like, you brought it down with that interview." And I kind of saw his point actually, because I was looking at it through my lens. Well, then again, I am the one answering the questions, but it is true. If I step out of that disappointment for a week, people still talk to me about that match. People still talk to me about the atmosphere in that building. People still talk whether I should have won, whether I shouldn't have won. It's like this amazing point of contention that fans go back and talk about it. It was just a historic match. And it was the hottest match. I mean, man, I can't remember the time I've seen a crowd that hot for a match or a city on board in such a real, like, sports team kind of way. It was monumental, and I'm just hung up. I'm like, yeah, but I lost. End quote. So looking back at it, Sami Zayn definitely sees Triple H's point. Despite the results of the match, Sami Zayn was still part of something special involving his city and WWE. As far as things go with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and the other tag team titles, things are still up in the air there. Sami and Kevin are still the champions, but the titles haven't been defended in a long time. Kevin Owens is out of action with a rib injury, and Sami Zayn is a little banged up himself as well. The rules are a little inconsistent because they were quick to strip Raquel and Liv of the tag team titles when Liv went down with a small injury. But the men's tag team titles just sort of slip under the radar, even with one of the champions being completely off of television for several weeks now. So no one knows what's going to happen there. No one really expects Sami and Kevin to be stripped of the titles, so they may just let Kevin's recovery ride out until he's ready to come back and continue their reign as tag team champions. There's a lot of exciting new theories surrounding the Bloodline as usual. Rikishi has been a popular name that the fans expect to show up in the storyline soon, but fans are also theorizing about the elders of the family also making their potential physical return to the story. The last time any of the elders from the Bloodline's family were seen on television was at Hell in a Cell 2020, where the Wild Samoans were waiting on the ramp to officially crown Roman Reigns as the new head of the family. And ever since then, the elders have been name-dropped and mentioned from time to time. When Solo Sikoa arrived in late summer 2022, the story was that the elders were the one who personally sent him to Roman's side, and Roman didn't exactly thank the elders for that gesture. Instead, Roman pretty much told Solo to forget everything they said and how he only needs to listen to him from now on. A lot of fans thought that was pretty disrespectful to the elders, but nothing ever came from that. Then the elders were mentioned again before SummerSlam, with Jey Uso revealing that it was the elders' idea to have a tribal combat match at SummerSlam. So the elders appear to play a critical role in the storyline off-screen. And with the rumors of Rikishi making his return soon, a lot of fans think it'll be really interesting if Rikishi doesn't come alone and has some extra support from some of the other Bloodline family members that have seen enough of this civil war. The Bloodline has been at war amongst themselves for a majority of the year, and no one has shown up from the family to stop it. It's sort of like when a babyface is getting jumped in attack, and you wonder yourself, do they not have any friends backstage that sees this and wants to help them? Well, it's sort of the same concept with the Bloodline. These brothers and cousins have been fighting non-stop with each other for months. Is there anyone out there from that extended family that sees this and cares enough to try and put an end to it? That's the big question that's been hanging over this storyline for months. So hopefully it gets addressed with Rikishi, the elders, and whoever else they want to throw into the mix. There's still rumors going around that the entire Bloodline story is going on a little hiatus. So we'll have to see just how true that is and what they could be cooking up there. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.